I'm here today because it is time to take the decision to abolish Trident. It's a wicked weapon of mass destruction, and as a Quaker committed to the sanctity of all human life, I think it's time we put a stop to it. I'm ashamed to be part of a country where this weapon still exists.
The thing is that our biggest threat to humankind is not war, it's the environment and it's climate change, and we need to be investing money into stopping climate change, not putting money into something that we're never going to use.
I came here today because Trident is a huge cost to our country. It's spending money on something so destructive while there's so many people that need that money way more. Like the NHS is at risk right now. You talk about security and defence. What about flood defences? What about real sustainable security, like spending on renewable energies?
I think passionately that the money should be spent elsewhere, especially in young people who've got no budgets or no social, they've no youth clubs, nothing anymore. So I'd rather money go for the wealth and health of children rather than the death of them.
I think it's a waste of money. I think it's toys for the boys, and I think there's better things to spend it on, like my kids' school, for example. It's all about money, and when money can be spent elsewhere on NHS, education, why are we spending on something that's completely pointless?
So why do you think our politicians seem to be so keen on Trident?
I have no clue. I have no clue. Baffles me.
Veterans for Peace, we're an ex-services organisation with members, both women and men, who've served in the British Army, in the Royal Navy, Royal Air Force, in pretty much every war that Britain has fought since the Second World War. Now, we've had nuclear weapons pretty much since the Second World War, and I think our own experiences show that nuclear weapons are not a deterrent to ongoing conflict in the world. And so we're here today to join with the rest of the people here to show our utter contempt for a government, and it's not just the Tories, it's the Labour and the Lib Dems as well, some of them, that they would think it was a good idea to spend 167 billion plus on a weapon, a spiteful weapon of mass destruction that we would never use. No moral person would ever press that button. Even if Britain had been hit with a nuclear strike, would we really want to then take some sort of spiteful revenge on other working people elsewhere in the world? So that's why we're here today.
Some union leaders are saying this is going to be terrible for employment, that lots of people are going to lose their jobs. What would you say to them?
I would say actually reinvesting the money we'd save from Trident in the health service, in building houses, in education can generate far more jobs that way than the few jobs we might lose in the defence industry.
Well, I think you can look at alternative investment. If you look at manufacturing, many people have put forward the argument, if instead of investing in arms and weapons, we did, for example, renewables and got sustainable energy, which would both provide resources for our energy sector and provide those jobs. It's possible to convert jobs.
Why should old folks suffer in poverty?
What about the deterrent? Don't you think we need a deterrent to stop other people from bombing us?
I think it's going to be just an escalation. If we have more weapons, then I don't think it's a deterrent.
I don't see how we can possibly achieve peace by threatening violence.
We've got changing threats, and nuclear weapons are not a deterrent to those threats.
I don't buy that at all. A deterrent against what? Against whom? No one's explained that to me. The United Kingdom faces no existential threats whatsoever. This whole thing about bumping up Russia as if they're going to somehow invade Britain at some point is a load of old nonsense. It's fear-mongering, it's the military, the arms industry, the political class, the media class, all joining together to get the weapon that they want. And why do they want it? Is it just a status symbol? A symbol of being in some sort of elite club that we're hanging on to?
We don't learn from the past. We still make the same.
Keep the joy in your heart, keep on singing.
the decision coming up. It's a chance to get rid of this thing that we should have got rid of a long time ago.
This is the best day of my life. Why don't we demand another referendum this year? Do we want a fully functional NHS, proper pay, proper working conditions, non-privatised, no closures, or do we want to kill and maim over 1 million people?
Countries the world over do not have nuclear weapons. It is the norm, it is the rule in the world today to be nuclear free. It is the exception to the rule to possess nuclear weapons. Let that message ring out loudly and clearly. And this year, perhaps, the decision will come about whether or not the UK should renew the Trident nuclear system. This is, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the biggest and most important decisions that the UK Parliament will take in this term.
It is never justifiable to unleash weapons of mass destruction on a population. Nuclear weapons belong in the dustbin of history alongside the Cold War. We have record numbers of people using food banks. We have child poverty. We have an NHS which is crying out for an investment, yet we are contemplating spending in excess of £100 billion on weapons of mass destruction.
I'm against unemployment, but I tell you what, our members could do lots of socially productive things to help people in this country. And the same goes for defence workers. They could be used with their skills and expertise to help fight climate change, to help develop the NHS, to help build council houses, and to help this country be a far better place to be.
Christians, Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, we are united here in saying that we have faith in God, but we have no faith in Trident. Trident is an affront to God and an affront to all that is decent.
We're here to say stop hiding behind the rhetoric of pretending this is about deterrence. We should call it how it is. Nuclear weapons are weapons of mass destruction. And that's why we say so loudly and clearly that in seeking to replace our nuclear weapons, this government is in breach of international law. We say stop Trident now.